Let's bring you some tennis and one of the surprise stories from the last week or so. The men's world number one, Jannik Sinner, has been banned for 3 months, starting immediately after reaching a settlement with the World Anti Doping Agency, or WADA, over his 2 positive drugs tests from last year. It's a case that has divided the tennis world, but WADA accepted that the Italian was inadvertently contaminated and did not intend to cheat. It's a complicated story, as you can imagine, and that's why I enlisted the help of editor-in-chief of the oldest tennis magazine in the world, Il Tennis Italiano, Stefano Semeraro, to help us understand what exactly has been going on. He told me it's a complicated story. It's actually part of the reason there's been this backlash against Sinner.
All the story has been managed in a not so transparent way. For if you are a normal guy who is not so into the matter and into the details and the technical, is not easy to understand.
Yeah.
But I did ask to the agency if they can say why they took this decision to reach an agreement, and James Fitzgerald, who is the media chief of the agency, told me it's not something new, because there is a point in the rules. Then you can apply a code, a comma, that it says that under special circumstances you can reach an agreement, because they understand that that Yannick doesn't want to cheat, and but they have to save the principle of the responsibility.
Novak Djokovic has sort of alluded to, hasn't he? Suggesting that if you have access to the top lawyers, then you can argue your case, as Sinner may have done so in this particular situation, whereas others haven't been able to do that. And it's a case of the have and the have-nots, isn't it? At the end of
Like in
the day.
life, like in
Yeah.
life.
Oh, absolutely. But it does make sense that
Yeah,
really that someone like Novak Djokovic, who is such a big figurehead in tennis, is speaking up and saying it needs to be a fairer playing field.
yeah. I agree with Novak. I was in Doha. I did ask him the question. If I think there is another point to investigate, is more important to the privacy of the players, of the transparency of the rules.
Mm.
And he said, I have no real answer. We have to discuss that. We have to reach a point, and he said, I cannot say is the privacy is more important than the transparency of the rules at this point. But this is surely a point that we have to discuss. Otherwise, everything going individual. Every case stays by its own, and then you don't have a general rule, which is not good for tennis, for sports, and for the all the athletes that are involved.
Do you think he will be forever tainted, or is tennis a forgiving sport?
I don't know. I think here in Italy, as I said before, it's still popular. You know,
Yeah.
the commercials are still flowing. So I don't see any major impact on his figure, public personality. If you talk about tennis in general, I don't know, because I felt that there is no such an empathy for Yannick, from from the ambience, from the milieu of
Mhm.
tennis.
Mhm.
Many athletes say have doubt, and they say not so emphatic comments. So maybe there is something that we have to wait and see, because
Mhm.
maybe at the beginning of the international, the Italian Open, we will see what's going on, how he'll be welcomed from the community, because somebody, as you said before, somebody feel that is a privilege, that is
Mm.
it's
Mm.
the fortunate son of the tennis, and this is not it's not good for him, because right now I don't feel that all the community is totally on Yannick's side.
No.
Even if Yannick is a very good guy, he's not a controversial, he's not a Nick Kyrgios, he's not somebody can make this discuss. So if you remember the Australian Open, when he was very nice to Zverev, that lost the final. They were hugging. So So he's a very nice guy, but suddenly there is a shadow hanging over him. So
And I've seen the front cover of your Il Tennis Italiano magazine, Yannick front and center. What's the what's the sort of story behind this? Is the magazine just backing him to come good eventually? Like once he's back from his ban, not eventually because he's very good.
we are trying to understand which is the headlines is the future of Yannick. So I think he can leave this all this story on his back, and then go further. We are trying to investigate if he has a chance to win the Grand Slam, because of the length of the ban was very clever, let's say this. So there is no major. I mean, two 1,000 tournament will be missed, but then the Italian Open and the Grand Slams are safe. So he's the Australian champion, and so maybe he has a shot to complete the Grand Slam, and so we are trying to investigate if it's possible. I think is not easy. It's probably the most difficult task in tennis to complete the Grand Slam. We saw a few years ago Djokovic face in the very last leg of his journey. But then maybe because the competition is not so strong like in the last 15 years. We used to have Federer, Djokovic, Nadal, and Wawrinka and other great players. Now the maybe there is Alcaraz, there is still Djokovic, but he's older. Alcaraz has a lot of ups and downs. So probably if he's at the top of his condition, he has one chance to do it. The very difficult part for him is the clay, I think, less than the grass. So we are trying to understand what's going on, if he has a chance, and at the end of the story, that we like to think that he has a chance.
Thank you again to La Stampa journalist and editor-in-chief of Il Tennis Italiano, Stefano Semeraro. You can hear more background to this story and Stefano's opinion on why Italian tennis is going through such a renaissance right now in our full chat on this Sporting Planet's YouTube channel. When this news broke, Ed and Todd, it obviously was quite controversial. No one was expecting it to emerge when it did as well. All the reaction I have seen pretty much is in condemnation of it, in the sense of how can there be an agreement in place? How can it just be a 3-month ban? Many like Stan Wawrinka, a 3-time major champion, now saying he doesn't believe tennis is a clean sport anymore. It just seems all very damning with regards to Sinner. I don't know what the reaction has been amongst where you guys have been.
It's a tough one, isn't it? I understand that. Um, I can understand why people are upset. And Novak Djokovic said a majority of the players don't feel that it's fair, and it appears that you can almost affect the outcome if you are a top player, if you have access to the top lawyers, which of course Novak Djokovic also has. And of course, Djokovic is saying this in his role as part of the PTPA. But also, of course, the background is that Djokovic has lost his last 3 matches against Sinner. So he probably would have preferred if Sinner was out of the equation for a lot longer. I do feel bad for Sinner in the sense that, from what I understand at least, he had no idea this was happening. It's the fault of his masseuse, and you trust the people around you to know what they're doing. And even on the tube that Umberto Ferreira brought, there's actually a big sign that says no doping. So you would assume somebody in that role pays a little bit more attention to what he's doing and what he's putting on, the world's best tennis player at the moment. And he didn't really gain any perceived benefit from it. It's not like some of these other cases we've seen, for example, with Maria Sharapova, where one could argue that she really did get extra performance from what she did. So I can understand where he's coming from. But then on the other hand, you look at somebody like Simona Halep, who went through a similar thing, and that destroyed her career, essentially. So for Sinner to just get 3 months, have a nice bit of a holiday, and then come back at home in Italy does seem a little bit unfair.
Yeah, he does come back in time for the Rome Masters. Here's my take on this, and I'm old enough to have been around long enough time to see this happen. My question is, this is the second positive test, correct? Would it have been different if he wasn't a top player and he was ranked 92nd or 123rd? I just feel like we've seen this movie play out before, and I'd like to give him the benefit of the doubt. I don't want to go scorched earth on Jannik Sinner, but if it walks like a duck, and I mean, that's where I am, because I've seen this in athletics, track and field, obviously the Tour de France. It's just, we've seen this time and time again. Just happen to have a little prop right here. The book that I'm reading right now just kind of brings it up into full circle in Novak, Searching for Novak, the man behind the enigma. And I think that's kind of what tennis is right now. I just don't feel like I just feel like with Pete Sampras and even Federer and some of these guys, they were an open book. You kind of knew what you were getting. And I just feel like now there's a little bit more a mysterious side to tennis that I don't know if people really want to embrace yet. And this just kind of casts a shadow on it. So there you go. I've said my piece.
I mean, I think you're right, Ed, as well, to mention the PTPA, who are the Professional Tennis Players Association. And they've come out, obviously, questioning the whole system and feeling as though it's broken, that it's biased, that it is unacceptable, that some players can have that financial and legal support of the very best nature, whereas others can't, and have to go through long drawn out processes which eventually don't go in their favor. Reading, as you said rightly so, what happened with the masseuse and the physio, and the fact that he suffers with psoriasis, so he has cuts on his back, and that's how they think perhaps that's how the sort of doping, if you like, entered into his system. There were 3 scientific experts that confirmed that was a possible explanation for the positive test. But if it's just a possible explanation, there could be another explanation. Obviously, we have to go with what has been agreed with WADA. They feel as though that was the correct that was correct in the fact that he hasn't done anything wrong and he didn't intend to cheat. But I can also understand why there are some out there who are very critical of the system, but also just wondering how you can come to a settlement. And I know this is actually part of WADA's code, and you can do this within a set period of time. You can come together and make an agreement. But if you're innocent, don't you want to fight your case until the end? I don't know. This is all subjecture, and maybe we don't want to go down it too far, but it just feels as though it is a case of you're helping out the world number 1, but you're not going to help out the world number 254.